Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is another edition of the Family Dynamics with Kevin and Alicia Meeks. We want to welcome you guys again, and we thank you for being on our platform. We thank you for joining in with us today. We are going to be talking about, once again, family dynamics and the things that concern the family, the majors and the minors of family. That's marriage, co parenting, blended families, all around, just the majors and minors and the triumphs of marriage, family, and the blended family. So I am here again in our home studio with the beautiful Alicia Meeks.
Hey, y'all, hey.
So my wife had a specific topic that she wanted to talk about today, and I think it's going to be really good. And it's concerning the family, and it's about blended families.
Yes, basically, the topic today is blended families before and after the blend. There are certain things that if you never had a blended family before, you wouldn't know. And so, some things that I wish some people would have told us before we started to blend is what I want to share today. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we've experienced, the good, the bad, the ugly, as it relates to blended families throughout our podcast. But also we're trying to give tips on ways to cope with the things that you will face when you're blending a family, because we want this to be beneficial for you all too, and just talk about some of the things that we went through while trying to blend our family. So,
So the first thing I would like to say, like I've said it before, that this wasn't the original design, but now 50% of families are co-parent situations, whether it's a stepfather, stepmother in the home. Like 50% of families are now blended, and that's a huge percent. So, what's one of the tips that you wanted to give to these people?
to these people. Well, basically, just from the beginning, I would say follow the leader. And when I say follow the leader, the children happens to be the leader in this situation. So blended families consist of children from a relationship prior to the marriage. It can be the husband, the wife, or both. In our situation, it's both. I had a daughter, he had two sons, and then we came together. And so I think the best thing that I think I did and we did when we first came together was we followed the lead of the children. We didn't try to force a relationship on each other or on them, and we didn't tell them like what to call the other person. As far as a title for a parent, we said nothing, and the children did what they wanted to do. Initially, like 2 months into dating my husband, my boys started calling me mom. Unfortunately, due to things that occur in a blended family,
They do
the mothers um,
influence.
influenced them, and I'm assuming didn't want them to call me mom. So, and we have two sons with two different mothers, but I'll say my oldest son, he set the tone for our youngest son. Our youngest son was watching our oldest son and how he moved. So when my oldest son started calling me mom, then my youngest son started calling me mom. But after attending a basketball game with our oldest son, I'm assuming his mother heard him call me mom, and the next week he was calling me Miss Alicia. And so I'm just like, wow, where did that come from? So then that initiated a conversation
Yeah.
that I had to have with him. And basically, the conversation was, I didn't ask you to call me mom. You could call me whatever you want to call me. But it don't have to be Miss Alicia. I'm too young for Miss Alicia. And that just seemed awkward. But it was a good conversation that I had with him because it was necessary. And things like this come up. Like, that's something we did not plan. I did not ask them. And so then after my son, I just said, just call me Alicia. You don't have to call me Miss Alicia, because that was obviously an adult told him to call me that. And so,
but you were in that role though, like you was projecting that feeling of wanting that he had that you had that motherly feeling. So it wasn't like, sometimes people can call people mom off of respect. You know what I mean? Like, the older people that you're around, like, hey mom, hey, you or pop, so you use that respect. But from you to him, it was more of you was projecting that feeling for him.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I was acting, not trying, but knowing the direction in which we were going, I knew that we were headed towards marriage, and these were going to be my stepsons, bonus children down the line. So I immediately started treating them as such. So with me treating them that way, it felt like mom. And that's the reason why they started calling me mom, until the parental influence came on in, and then he came back talking about Miss Alicia. So that's something, that's a situation that a lot of people can relate to when it comes to blended families. Like, what do you call the other person? Right. And so, like, my daughter has from time to time called Kevin dad. It would be in situations like, well, Kevin is like the only dad most people in our neighborhood know for her, because they don't see her biological father often at events, at cheer competitions, right, and a lot of things. And a lot of times Amaya is with Kevin. So they have no clue. Like, some people just totally think Amaya is Kevin's daughter, and I don't correct them in those situations. Like, oh no, that's not. I just leave it and I follow the lead, and whatever she wanted to do. If she want to call him Kevin, she call him Kevin. If she want to call him dad, she call him dad. She doesn't really call him dad often, but there has been moments like at a parade, and she'll introduce him like, this is my dad, Kevin, or what have you, or in conversation. But it's just kind of an unspoken thing with the people who are in our neighborhood and in our surroundings and in our circle. Like, people just assume, honestly, they thought the boys were ours together. They thought all 3 children was ours together. They thought, oh, the girl looks just like you, and the boys surely took after their dad. And I'm like, no,
that was funny.
That's funny. No, it's no way. Well, I could kind of see she look a little bit like Kevin. No, she don't. And so that was just, those are some of the things that you go through. But the main point that I was getting to there is follow the leader. The children can lead. And if they make a left, make a left. If they make a right, if they make a U-turn. Like my kids, they did a U-turn. Initially, they started calling me mom. And I think when my oldest son stopped, then my youngest son stopped. And so it is what it is. I'm Alicia. I'm fine with that. But
as far as the kids, like, I think you should let the kids lead in that area. Because I think people would get from you, like, let them lead, no, they're not in control, but they are in control of what they're gonna like what they're gonna identify you as a step parent or the co-parent as, and you letting them lead. So them,
because you shouldn't force nothing on nobody.
No, and I believe that was a genuine feeling, and I think that it was mature of you as the adult to see that there was a challenge with the boys.
Because I don't want to put them in no situation like that, where they feel like, oh, my mama don't want me to call you this.
Sure.
Personally, my dad is on his 3rd wife, and I never called either one, the second or the third mom or stepmom, like any word that's associated with mom, I did not call them because I just felt differently about it. I felt
like it would diminish your mom,
yeah,
or take away the respect of your mom.
yeah, and I just knew my mother wouldn't have been happy with that. But also they weren't treating me
No, I got that's
like
what I was saying. Yeah,
a daughter. They would treat me like a daughter, but it just wasn't like a mom, like
sure.
how my mom was. Like they just it was no comparison. So maybe if one of them was more like my mom and more involved and more, every day, then maybe I would have felt compelled to call them mom. But because of the fact that they weren't, I never felt compelled to call them mom, and mom is a serious title to me, and I just wasn't throwing it around loosely. And so even like when we got married initially, I did call his mom, but more recently, like since the death of my mom, I'm not calling anybody mom, especially if they don't meet those standards. So that's that with that.
But that goes back to a respect thing.
What?
That's a like you leave that respect with your mother because she passed. Is that she will be the only one. So I can definitely understand that. Like
Yeah,
leave that respect with your mother who passed.
yeah, and that's what it is. So that's that. But when it comes to like Maya has a stepmom, and she calls her name.
But how does that make you feel? If she was to call,
I probably would have felt the way, but I never said anything to Maya because I don't want to be like what happened with the boys. I want Amaya to feel comfortable. When she initially was going with her dad and her stepmom for the first times, I just was like, "Did you have fun? Okay, you going over there? They got kids, girl. You could be playing with their kids, Like, so I just tried to make it easy for Maya. Like, I've never tried to make anything difficult or uncomfortable for her.
Right.
As it relates to her blended family over there, because they have a blended family, because he has many other children, and then but Amaya is one of them, and then they blending those children together.
But if someone out there is struggling with them feeling like they really need that title because either they just want that mother title or that father title as a step parent, or what would you say to those people? Because to me, I didn't need it. It was more for me with Amaya was that I know I'm your father, and I'm just gonna do that with or without the title or without her saying it. Yeah. But there are people that are really struggling with having that title or the children referring them, because it's some people that really want yes sirs and no sirs, yes ma'am and yes ma'ams in their house. Mm-hmm. Maybe when the children come to the dad's house or the mom's house, they want their children to call, keep that respect of mom and dad.
I just really, and you kind of far away. I just really being that I used to be a caseworker for DCFS, I saw something that really enlightened me one time. So this mom, she was trying to take away custody and visitation from the dad. And so in me being a caseworker, I had to, this is when I was a child protection investigator. So, I went to the mom's house. I would have to interview at the mom's house and then interview at the dad's house. And, for the child to get from the mom to the dad, the mother had to transport. So at the mom's house, the little girl just was so negative about her dad. Like, yes, I don't want to even go over there. No, because his girlfriend, I don't even like her, and this and that. And so, the mother was in another room, and I just felt like, something, it just didn't. It just seemed too rehearsed.
Right.
So the mother then drove from her house to the father's house. And getting out the car, the little girl was looking like all sad and everything because her mother was right there. When I tell you, the father opened the door. Once she knew that door was closed, Daddy, if the stepmother name was Susie, where's Susie? Susie, hey. And I was just like, who is this? you was... And so from there forward, I'm just like, kids do what they think the parents want them to do. And from there, the report I wrote to that judge, the mother was heavily influencing this child in a negative way, right, and causing a break in a relationship that this little girl really likes. And even to go further, when we were done, I said, let me see. Now, she done showed me in this house. When we walk her back out to her mom, is she going to stay this way? And she turned it off. When we walked out of that door, it was like, bye.
She knew how to straighten up.
She knew, because she knew what the parent expected. So exactly. With that being said, like,
that's pressure, though.
That's too much pressure on these kids. Pressure. So I would never pressure our boys or... Yeah. And if Amaya did end up calling her stepmom mom, I would have just had to swallow that. But she didn't, and that's fine. But I would never, if I was newly coming into a situation, I would never like make a child give me a certain title. I don't think that's right.
Right. No, I really don't think that's right. And that was a good way to put it. That children, they do know how to behave or how to act. When there's a co-parent situation where you have to go with the dad or you have to go with the mom, and there's two different dynamics of a household, and she knew that mom didn't approve of her loving actions with her dad,
or the stepmom, because she really liked the stepmom too when the door was closed.
Right.
And I was just like, wow. And so from there forth, I was just like, wow, I would never do something like that. Like, that's heavy on that little girl.
Sure, gotta be.
That she got to remember how to act here, how to act there. And then she's not even being genuine to herself.
Sure.
Because she really appeared to like her dad and her stepmom. Yeah. But because of the way the mother felt, she changed her behavior and attitude. And I appreciate the court system having someone like me to go in and do these things, because if I had never observed that, this man could have lost visitation with his daughter.
Absolutely.
I wrote that report up so good. I'm pretty sure now. I don't know, because when I write up the report and give it to the judge, I never know what happened, but typically the judge would take our recommendations. And so I wrote it up so good, like, this child needs time with her father. They need shared parenting time where he has just as equal as the mother, because it just was so unfair to me. I just thought it was so unfair. And I did indicate in that report of the difference of what I saw with the child's behavior. So I just never would want our children to go through anything like that. So when they came back saying, Alicia, just call Miss Alicia, just call me Alicia. It's cool.
And I didn't feel no type of way when there were times when your daughter wouldn't, or our daughter wouldn't call me dad when I thought it was appropriate, because that's how she feels.
What do you mean?
I mean, there were times where they were similar to the times that I would be dad, but then other times that I wouldn't be addressed in that manner. But I didn't feel no type of way, because that's her feelings. If she don't feel that today or right now, that's her feelings.
I think she feels it. It's
no,
just,
I'm saying the outward expression, like, it's okay.
Well,
You
I
understand
think
what I'm
she
saying?
shows it in other ways, like
Well, I'm saying that the actual title, though.
yeah, the word.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think Amaya wants to ensure that she respects her father similarly as I felt with my mom. That it's on the tip of her tongue, but she just cannot because
But
she
that's what I'm
don't.
saying. I didn't feel no type of way because I know that it's just like that little girl. She has to a duality of respect for me and then her father, that she don't want to cross those lines, or she don't want to make another person feel a type of way.
Yeah, she cares
So
about.
she cares about whatever she cares about what other people feel. So I didn't take it, or I don't take it away, because they have to move like that. And one thing you said, which I don't think that people are a lot aware of people in your position where they do go out to these homes and I think that if you are a aka baby mama, baby daddy, or you have a co-parent situation, that there are advocates of the court that do help in situations like this. Now, they can't change the way the mother or the father is with one another, or they can't change how they is with one another, but they definitely are advocates so that it's not one-sided.
Well, it's a child advocate and basically to look out for the best interest of the child. And I block out the mother when I was in that position.
Sure.
I block out the mother and the father. I'm thinking about this child. And the whole point in that is because parents sometimes they can't focus on the family. They can't focus on the child and how this may be affecting the child. So for somebody who's out there and the mother of your child or the father of your child is withholding visitation, making it hard for you, you have rights.
Absolutely.
Okay? You have rights. I told my husband that in the beginning. I said, you don't have to deal with this. Like, you do not have to, try to keep the peace so you can see your children.
Yeah.
No, you don't got to keep no peace. I'm not saying turn up, but you don't have to walk on eggshells. You have rights, and you need to pursue those rights.
Absolutely.
So you can get whatever is available to you to maintain and flourish the relationship between you and your children. So that's another thing. If you feel like you're not able to parent cohesively, efficiently together, there's plenty things you can do. You can write out a parenting plan.
Absolutely.
And Kevin's gonna have one of those posted on our website.
Yeah.
Template for a parenting plan. Sit down and say, let's talk about this. And it has all of these different aspects of parenting that you can extracurricular activities, who's going to be responsible, because when the child goes to another parent's house, are they not supposed to do their extracurricular activities? If they are in basketball and during the week they're practicing and then they go with their parent on the weekend, what, they got to miss the game?
Right.
That's not in the best interest of the child.
Absolutely.
And so those are things that in a parental agreement, you can agree that, okay, if they're in these activities, we're going to continue them even on the weekends that I have them. Or, some parents, they have week to week. So I just think that everyone should always act in the best interest of the child. I know I personally have when it comes to my daughter and her dad. No matter how I feel about him, I never withhold visitation ever. I've never, ever. Unless we've already had something planned, we're not going to cancel it. But whenever she want to see him, he want to see her, they can see each other as long as we didn't have anything already planned.
Right. So just to recap and just to wrap up, if you are a person or you are a parent who feels some type of way, let the children lead. This is what we're saying. Let the children lead in this area of the respect of mom, dad, those titles. Let them lead. They may feel that way, but understand that on a child's standpoint, they may have to keep a level of respect with a biological parent, but they might feel that, but let them lead in that area. I know there's a lot of households that really are advocates of no sir, yes ma'am, no sirs, but just let the children lead, and We're going to be getting out of here, and leave a comment below if you are dealing with that similar situation. So again, this is the Family Dynamics podcast with Kevin and Alicia Meeks. We will see you next time.
Bye.